It is considered a fortune purpose to me that destiny chose Branau on the Inn as my birthplace. Purpose? Destiny? This was the first sentence of Adolf Hitler's book Mein Kampf, or in English, My Battle. Hitler portrayed himself as purposed and destined to be born in this book, but there rarely has been such infamous man as him who led lives of such failure. Today I want to tell you a more subtle but yet interesting part of his life, which is his path as an artist. Hitler was a bad student and had to repeat classes. He represented himself as a good student though in his book Mein Kampf, but was unwilling to learn, which is why his father Adolf Hitler often beat him. His father's violence might have had an effect on Adolf Hitler's childhood. Adolf almost never has shown any emotional bond towards his father later down in his life. Adolf Hitler died in the year of 1903. During Adolf Hitler's state secondary school days, he first came into contact with radical and anti-Semitic people, such as his history teacher. Teachers can have a great impact on the student, and his history teacher is an unforgettable example. He dropped out of school when he moved up to 5th grade and has finally decided to take his first steps into the world of arts. There were pictures he painted at that time. In the year of 1906, Hitler decided to become a painter, moved to Vienna and was supported in this wish by his mother Clara Hitler. She really believed in her son to one day become a great artist. However, Clara fell ill with breast cancer shortly afterwards. Her treatment was being maintained by a doctor, a Jewish doctor. But Adolf kept his dream as an artist and applied to the General School of Painting at the Vienna Academy of Arts, without success. Shortly afterwards, his mother succumbed to breast cancer. The Jewish doctor who took care of Clara has been given great thanks by Adolf. During the period of Nazi Germany, he was even been given protection by Adolf Hitler himself. After the death of his mother, he continued to live in Vienna and tried for several years to make his dream as an artist come true. He copied from postcard motifs, sold those with which he could barely finance a sale. Nevertheless, he decided to move into various homeless shelters. But why exactly did he have to live in poverty in Vienna? If he would have been accepted at art school, his whole life might have changed. And when you look at the pictures, well, they don't look bad at first sight. For that, we will first look at his choice of motives. Hitler's choice of motives were a lot of buildings, such as the residential buildings, well-known buildings from Vienna, and churches. It often seemed more like he wanted to go into architecture, although he never wanted to and denied it. His art is significantly more conservative than other artworks of this time period, where post-impressionism, expressionism and surrealism were popular at the time. Hitler actively opposed it because it just didn't fit the German romantic era he chased after. His copied pictures of postcards, such as the picture of the Belvedere Palace, likely guided his motives choices. He often chose watercolor as his medium, but he hardly made a big color choice for most of his motifs. Many of the buildings in particular look pale, colorless, and often even disguised in a color. I wonder if the low color choice could be all due to his poverty, due to the different color costs. But a few times he opted for contrasting colors, which gives some pictures more life, as in his picture of the flower pot. But let's talk about my personal favorite part of his art. He has great line art skills and definitely shows good craftsmanship from his hands. Especially with his late line art, he shows this excellently. Look at how clean and fine those lines are. Unfortunately, he had the big problem that he often had no real vanishing point, or assessed proportions unrealistically. Especially the image of the stairs and the door is extremely unnatural and unrealistic for its style. The door is far too big in comparison to the stairs. Besides the fact that the window is even cut off by the stair itself. I get the feeling that he often wanted to guess the vanishing point in the middle of the try instead than to start with it. You can see how uncanny that makes it feel like. His brush technique varies greatly in quality, as they mostly looked unclean, but in some later paintings he was able to prove himself excellently with his brush technique. I rarely see such spotless coloring as in the motifs right before the start of the World War I. He drew humans only very rarely, and when he did they usually don't look alive. Most of they look stiff and blocky. But he painted a picture of Saint Mary and baby Jesus. It brings us out of a beautiful choice of colors and contrast, which was otherwise rather atypical for his catalog. I would have liked him to have dared to do more such pictures in the discipline of human paintings. Unfortunately, he never did. But when it comes to a very clear last reason why he got rejected, well, there isn't a clear public reason on paper by the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts by that. The assumptions are that it likely was Hitler failing due to his flaws in proportions and perspectives, him struggling to draw proper humans and giving his art a feeling and life which makes art, well, art. The art school was being very highly regarded at the time, resulting in high competition, which made his flaws, outdated and unfitting style of art at the time easy to reject for professors. But isn't what teaching a student all those things at school and academy is all about? In Vienna, he continued to read old German writings by anti-Semites, which allowed him to become more and more radicalized, slowly building the worldview which he was later being known for. In 1914, Hitler was active as a soldier in the First World War. He found comradeship there and then took his direction in politics. But his interest in art has never decayed. For example, there was a lot of art theft against Jews, German colonies and various opponents during the era of Nazi Germany. Even art exhibitions were held to ridicule modern art, which are the complete opposite of what he himself created. They were surreal, showed misery and true emotion. He opposed against it until the end of his life. Interesting enough, this art exhibition had 2 million visitors in only 4 months and has become more popular than his approved and regarded art exhibitions, unlike what Adolf Hitler wanted. As one of the most evil personalities that have ever stepped a foot into politics and ended his life at the age of 56. His art was nothing particularly unique, but his passion strived him through so many years of his life and his improvement was nothing of short notice. Who knows, maybe if he applied the third time to the Vienna Academy of Arts he would have been accepted, started developing his skills under highly educated professors and one day be a great painter. It would have been a scenario which most of us would have wanted instead of his career as a politician, which these days ended up as a lesson of what an influence various role models could have on a simple child and teenager, and what influence one man can have on a troubled crowd of citizens. At the end of the day, his life remains anything but a story of success.